territory and the homeland of the Métis. We extend our gratitude to those who came before us and have called this ancestral land home for generations. We respect and honor the treaties, reaffirm our relationships with one another, and move forward together in the spirit of truth, reconciliation, and collaboration. We'll call to order at 7:01 p.m. That the agenda for the December 9th, 2024 meeting be approved as amended or presented and attached to form part of the said minutes. Councillor Watts. Has everybody had a chance to review the agenda on the council side? Anything we need to add? Michelle, do you guys have anything?
Nothing from him.
Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Declaration of conflict of interest. Does anybody have any conflict around the table today?
There is where they want to amalgamate both lots, but I know everyone in town anyhow, so I don't know if that's a conflict or not. Is it or isn't it?
Do you have a person?
I have no personal gain at all.
Then it's
Okay. Good enough.
okay.
Making sure.
If you see something as we get to it, please let us know. That the minutes of the November 20th, 2024 inaugural meeting of council be approved as presented. Stewart. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes? All those in favor? That council respectfully decline the request to sponsor plaques for the Canadian Fallen Heroes Foundation at this time. Councillor Stewart. Michelle, do you really have anything to add here?
I don't really have anything to add. No, we do sponsor a number of events or things for the Legion, different ads and publications. We provide them with the Evergreen Center for the Remembrance Day service. And there are so many more that worthy donors, recipients than just 3.
Does anybody have any questions or comments on this? If I remember correctly, this wasn't local.
No, it
right?
was not.
Yeah.
No, and it wasn't local.
Okay. No other questions or comments?
Was it not brought forward once upon a time before? Was this not brought forward once before?
Was that the last agenda that was tabled?
Okay.
Okay. All those in favor? That's carried. That the RCMP report for the month of November 2024 be received and filed. With that, I will call on our RCMP representative.
Okay. So my name is Corporal Jonathan Trombley. Unfortunately, Staff Sergeant Wyanda is not able to make it today, so we got somebody to come instead. So during the month of November 2024, Nippon's Heat and RCMP responded to and investigated the following occurrences in the Daphne area. Charges are not typically laid in every instance. We have had 470 calls for service in the month of November alone. The majority of these come from mischief, break and enters, as well as some other various calls such as loud dog or stuff like that. We've had 76 traffic offenses, as well as 21 911 calls. After compiling the priorities provided by local RMs, towns, and villages, the Nipawin Speed and RCMP have developed the following priorities for 2024-2025 fiscal year. These will include prolific offender checks, which are us doing checks on offenders that have been released by the courts that we've already arrested and charged, released on conditions, and then we ensure these conditions are being followed. Road and traffic safety, so we're also partnering with the PA and Melbourne Traffic Services to make regular patrols of the service area to increase overall police presence and making sure that people see that there are police around. This would also go hand in hand with also making sure that our prolific offenders are being monitored and also to reduce the property crime that's been happening in the area. And I believe that Staff Sergeant Kyle Lonzek's been in touch with you guys as well and had meetings with you guys, so that he is now in place. He's been working here since the summertime. And he's been an active part in making sure that everything gets on taken care of. Other than that, do you guys have any questions about our police and services?
Any questions or comments today? I would maybe just let our staff sergeant know that I'll be reaching out to him in the new year, and hopefully we'll schedule something for the council to have another sit down.
Absolutely.
Away from our general meetings.
That's it.
Thank you very much for the work you guys are doing. And happy holidays.
Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor? Carried. At this point, I'm just going to open up the floor to our delegation we have. The Nipawin Oasis Center is here. Joy, how are you today?
Good.
Just housekeeping reminder, you'll have 10 minutes for your presentation.
So, welcome, Mayor and Council. Congratulations, Council. So I'm Joy Hansen, Executive Director of the Nipawin Oasis Community Center. I have been with the organization since 2010. I'm not going to reread the letter that was sent to you or anything, so I'm just, we're respectfully requesting $20,000. As you can see, the town did not funded us. 2018 was the last time we received any funding from the town with a $5,000 capital, which our auditor said, don't ever do that again because it has to be amortized over 25 years. And $250 a year on the books. So it's just like more taxing. So I just want to know if you have any questions of us. I appreciate those that have come to see the center and see what we do there, because we have an active Facebook page and we do have a website. So been working more closely with the town in the last couple months, so that's been appreciated. So I'm just, if you have any questions. Otherwise, that's it, what we gave you.
Thank you, Joy. Are there any questions from the council? Joyce?
Your Honor, I was wondering about, I noticed that you've got a list of all the expenses and you said that there's community support. Is there any value or revenue that's coming for this program?
From the community
Mhm.
support. Yes, the community members from all over, not just Nipawin, have been really supportive. We're receiving a lot of donations. We post the donations on our main Facebook page. So when people donate to the Oasis, 100% of that goes to the people. We don't take anything for admin, rent, transportation, or salaries.
Mhm.
It all goes right to the people. What goes in, 100% goes out.
Okay, so out of the 145,000 in expenses, what have you received in money? Just
Well,
out
you're
of
talking
curiosity.
for the warm-up shelter?
That's right.
So we haven't received anything for the warm-up shelter,
Oh,
other
okay.
than donations for the food.
Oh, okay.
Food, or like people donate clothing, like in-kind donations. So the warm-up shelter, as of last night, we've had 70 different people access it over the 43 nights for 490 people. So It's possible we can get some funding for it. We're looking, but that won't be till February or March. So we're just doing it out of need because we just couldn't see people freezing, people coming crying, they got nowhere to go. We had a tent encampment, as Paul knows. So there's just a lot of people on the street, right? There's a lot of people that don't have any other options, so we're trying to address it because we didn't see where anybody else was stepping up to do it. So it's a lot of the people we work with, but not all the people we work with. We've seen some people we've never worked with before have access the center.
Do you have any other needs as far as blankets or clothing or?
We need, mitts really are a need right now. And any kind of, like especially men's clothing, we always never seem to get enough of. So boots, blankets, sheets, any household, because we also run 7 supportive housing homes too. Plus we're housing people that come with nothing. Like one of the couples that were accessing the center, we just housed them. We were able to successfully house them. So this provides the ability to work with people more. So we give out food bags every day. They come to the door and we give out food bags. But we weren't able to provide the intensive supports that are needed. So this way with people in the shelter, we have 1 staff on and we're able to provide more intensive supports such as addictions, relapse prevention, cultural programming, mindfulness activities such as coloring. They'll watch YouTube. If you haven't been to the center, I would please welcome for you to come and see what we do there, and you'll get a different feeling. It's a real home. We have couches that people stay on. So that's, it's a real, and we got the big screen TV, and we provide supper and breakfast. So since we've been doing that, our food bags have like Kraft dinner and noodles, maybe a can of soup, granola bars, canned meat. But since we've operated the center, we see less people eating. We've had people donate, like we had on the weekend here, a full turkey meal. And the week before, a full turkey meal. So people aren't used to getting that kind. So the belief is that like this is a kind of a work in progress, like a case study. We don't really know the outcome of it, but we know people have a high population of addiction in this population. Not all. I don't believe that you're going to be able to heal from your addiction without connection. So that's what we're trying to do.
Did you have a maximum or are you at a maximum or is
Our
there-
insurance, they didn't give us a limit, but I had thought 15 at the time. So the most we've had stayed overnight all night long. So that's what was 15. We've had 11, I think it was. That was the highest. Stay overnight. A lot of the people are just coming in, maybe to warm up, access the food, and then breakfast. We have another crew that comes for breakfast. It just kind of, like last night, there was 17, the night before 18, but not all are staying there. It gets locked at 11 o'clock at night and you can't come in. And once you leave, you don't get back in.
And it'll be weather related too, obviously.
Pardon?
It'll be weather related too, obviously.
Yeah.
Colder it gets, the more.
We have any other questions? Thank you very much, Joy, for all the work you guys do in the community.
These are all our boards.
that the financial reports for December 9th, 2024 be approved as presented. Just for the new counselors, if you got to get your hand up real fast. Jeff's on the ball.
Did you see this agenda?
Just the one.
Yes, I have. So,
Michelle, do you have anything to add on this financial report?
Oh, I'll just ask Maria if she has anything to point out.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on the financial report? Okay, all those in favor? That's carried. That the reports of senior administrative officials recorded as items 9.1 to 9.2.10 be received and filed. Counselor fast, we'll get you on there. All those in favor? That the CAO report be received and filed. No.
We don't really have anything specific to point out from the report, other than it's been extremely busy since the election with our follow-up and council orientation and the governance workshop. Yeah, we're just working on getting the budget ready and getting into the end of the year. Anybody have any questions?
Do we have any questions, Jeff?
Just on the OCP, it's on the first draft. You said council is going to get the second draft, right?
I
To really
think
take a
so.
look at.
Yes.
All right.
Do we have any other questions for Michelle? All those in favor? It's carried. That the Corporate Services Department monthly report be received and filed. Blair. Administration. Would you like to?
Maria.
Really have anything to speak to in regards to the report, but Jeff and I actually met with representatives from SAMA today, and just got a little bit of interesting information there as we prepare for 2025 as a revaluation year. They've changed some of the parameters around how they're going to do assessment for us. There's just a lot more data that they've been able to get at their disposal and to be able to use as tools in assessment. So previously, if one was mostly done on a cost value assessment, they'll be changing that up a little bit. The majority of residential will still go on a cost basis, but condos will be now assessed on a sales commission standpoint, which could really do some changes, but may not be really big, but it was just a different tool that they're using to try and level out the assessments and how things are valued. Also with multifamily apartment dwellings, so anything that would be bigger than a 4-dwelling unit is also going on a rental basis for assessment. So just kind of interesting to see some of the different tools that they're being able to use and at their disposal. They also offered that if council was interested, they would be willing to come and do a bit of a slideshow presentation for you and give you some information on how assessment works and just kind of give you an overview of how they go about the whole process and give you some better understanding if that's something that you would. They did send out to us a 2025 preliminary assessment about a month ago, and we'll try and get that emailed off to you tomorrow so that you can take a look at what they have in store for next year. And
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Jeff?
I thought there was something on the commercial side of things as well that they were changing. They were having almost a.
yeah, there is. Thank you. Commercial will be split into 2 separate assessment groups. So one will be based on basically the office and retail side of businesses, and the other on warehousing.
Make a big difference.
Any other questions or comments? I guess if
Well, I just had a comment, that it was mentioned that 4 bedrooms, was it? Homes?
No, 4-unit homes,
4-unit homes.
so anything more than 4 or 5.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking 4
Oh,
bedrooms.
yes.
Yeah,
yeah.
good thing I only got 3.
Make it 1 into den.
Any other questions or comments? Perhaps we could just quickly as a group decide, do we want Maria to look into having Sama come to Nipwood?
I'd be interested.
Would there be a cost tied to that?
No. There wasn't. And they had said that it would be like maybe a 15 to 20-minute sort of presentation, and then just open it up for questions and conversation back and forth. And that could be done over Zoom, it could be an in-person meeting, however you want to set it up there. Willing and able to do any kind of delivery.
I think anything more we can learn, get ourselves in this role is a good thing.
So is that on information on how they assess
Right.
property? Yeah, I'd be interested in that, yeah.
Come tax time, we'll field a lot of questions. Just so you guys are aware.
Especially on the assessment year. This is when you're getting a lot of people that might see a big swing in their taxes, even though their taxes as in general, it's a percent only goes up 2 or 3 or 4, whatever we decide. That one individual might see a 7 or 8%, and some salaries because the assessment value goes up. So that, and with these changes here, we could actually see some benefiting and some getting.
That's right, that's right.
Yeah.
It would be
being more-
good to hear from them, because then we have a better understanding to be able to explain to the community
Yeah.
like why these things happen or why there's been some drastic changes. Because we're going to be educated slightly. But
We'll send you over to the condo, see how much you can.
Yeah, every one of them.
yeah,
Yeah, the cost basis didn't work for them.
yeah.
I think Spain explained it so many times, so it doesn't matter.
Sure,
But-
I can reach out to them.
Okay.
And get back to you with some possible dates, and
Virtual would be fine.
virtual would be great.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah, I think so.
No need to haul someone out here.
And if there's no other questions, we'll call it. All those in favor? Carried. That the Operations and Engineering Services Department monthly report be received and filed. Vic. Sean.
Unfortunately, Mr. Past is unable to be here tonight, but if council has any questions, I can try to answer them or take the questions and get back to you with an answer.
Have any questions or comments on this report? Joyce?
Just that I've been asked a little bit about the snow removal, and then I noticed our charter map is since 2005. I don't know if it's something that needs to be updated for future.
It is something we can absolutely look at. I
It
believe
was noticed it was 2005, brought to my attention.
our priorities are
Yeah.
mostly still the same, but we'll look into that.
Any other questions or comments?
No, they did an awesome job this last little while.
I have forever, actually.
Yeah, we do have very good snow, despite what you might find online.
Just go to Saskatoon.
Or even Drake.
Or even do so.
All right, all those in favor? This is carried. That the Protective Services Department monthly report be received and filed. Counselor Fast.
And I'll let Paul speak to that.
I don't think I have much for either folks. If you haven't been privy to my reports. I like obviously pictures, I like graphs, I like color, I like all that kinds of stuff. I like to put as much information in there for you, so hopefully there aren't many questions, and if they do bring up questions, hopefully it's something that I can answer for you ASAP, but that's kind of the attitude I've always kind of had, whatever I can put in there, just so you're kind of in the know. Um, Certainly not for yourselves, but for repairs as well. So certainly any questions that you have, I won't dwell on anything really big.
Thank you. And do we have any questions or comments on this report? All right, all those in favor? Carried. That the fire department monthly report be received and filed. Councilor Blair. Michelle.
And again, that would be Chief Conco.
Again, guys, I don't really have much. I hope that I have enough stuff in there that there shouldn't be many questions. A lot of the stuff is put on Facebook as well sometimes, so just to try and keep you guys in the know. I know I've been asked, do we need to know about all the calls? I'm just kind of that guy. I kind of like everybody to know about what's been happening. I will point out one, there are pictures in there of the pig barn fire for the mutual aid that we provided to Carrot River. We have invoiced Carrot River through the mutual aid agreement through there. So I expect that we should see payment on that. Other than that, I don't think there's much else in there, other than obviously it was great handing out some awards at our last practice. So we do have some more that will be handed out hopefully at the next practice for some of the individuals that work there. So we'll be recognizing them on Facebook as well.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments on this report? Jeff.
Just in the whole Cumberland House on route, we see that they were there twice and canceled on route. Are we the only ones that can go up that highway right now? It's just
Unfortunately, and I think I've mentioned this to council, they are actually, believe it or not, in our coverage area. So yeah, unfortunately, unless we can get a hold of Cumberland Fire, those two occasions I wasn't able to go to hold of Chief McKay. So we were en route. We actually did go to a call for a fire, a car fire at the mile 50 mark. Of course, by the time we got there, it was pretty much out. But again, it's something, once we get the call, we're on the hook, we kind of gotta go. The only advantage, of course, is if it's an SGI claim, of which it is, we can put in for that, whether we're doing anything related or not.
Any other questions or comments?
a follow-up comment.
Sure.
It just takes our guys so far away from Nipawin.
I agree 100%. At the time, when we have guys mustered to the department, there is a really quick inventory on how many guys we have available. And we generally will send, and in this occasion, we only send one truck and the command. And then we do have an equal, if not even more guys in town ready to respond. For that exact reason, I know I get really nervous when we're far out of town, and my first thought is, what if something happens? So
My first thought too.
oh yeah, and I'm not gonna lie to you, at 1 o'clock in the morning, the decision's made for 4 guys to jump in the truck instead of 5, and only 1 truck's going. The guys that don't get chosen to go on truck are usually pretty happy.
We used to go to Flim Flam for the Jaws, eh?
I never do that.
That was a while ago, but yeah.
And, sorry, just as an aside, I will let you know that Cumberland House is in the process of trying to A, expand their boundaries for fire, and B, work on their rescue designation. So hopefully with those 2 things, when they do take place, we shouldn't actually have to leave and cross through that area.
I thought it was just Carrie River is close. So.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Agreed.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments? Joyce?
I'll just make a quick comment. I saw both of those burnt vehicles on my way to Cumberland the other day.
Anybody else? I'll just take an opportunity to publicly congratulate all of those receiving their awards. Thank them. So, Okay, all those in favor? It's carried. Okay. That the council of the town of Nipawin confirms the town meets the following eligibility requirements to receive the 2025-2026 municipal revenue sharing MRS grant. Submission of the 2023 audited financial statement to the Ministry of Government Relations. Submission of the 2023 public reporting on municipal waterworks to the Ministry of Government Relations. In good standing in respect to the reporting and remittance of education property taxes. Adoption of a council procedures bylaw. Adoption of an employee code of conduct. All members of council have filed and annually updated their public disclosure statements as required. And that we authorize the chief administrative officer to sign the declaration of eligibility and submit it to the Ministry of Government Relations. Councillor Stewart. Michelle.
Well, this is kind of housekeeping so that we can show that we are eligible to receive our provincial revenue sharing. We don't know exactly how much we will get each year until after the new year. However, in 2024, our portion was $1.26 million. So this is, it's really important to get this declaration in, and then the province will share some of their funds with us. And we're absolutely in compliance with all of the requirements.
Yes, Les.
How is the amount determined? Is it a per capita thing? Or how do they?
The province lets us know what our
Oh,
share.
we're
will
just
be.
told. I should have known.
Mhm. Yeah.
Joyce?
This is part of the PST, right? Or is that a different thing?
Yes, I believe this is part of the PST. It's
So
not
I
the
think
gas
it is
tax.
per capita and then it's probably the TST from a year
Part
or
of the
two
formula.
ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it can change if the PSP goes down or up.
Or if we have more people.
And last year, they actually increased the percentage that we got of that.
Right.
Up
I
to
remember that. Yeah.
11 or something. There was an increase in that. Thanks, Dave.
But how they calculate our percentage is. I don't know.
Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor? Carried. That council hereby approves Yankee LLP as the Town of Nipawin Auditor for the 2024 fiscal year, and that council hereby approves the 2024 engagement letter, council questionnaire, and signing authority request as presented.
I'll let Maria expand on that. Do you have anything?
No, I don't have anything to add to it. It's just standard procedure. So we've already obviously approved Yankee as our auditor for a 3-year term. This will be our second year of that term, and so it's just carrying.
And just one thing, the council questionnaire, there's questions that we have answered, but if council needs to look at this, and if you have any.
This part of the motion then?
It is part of the motion, yes, council questionnaire.
Okay.
So if we just look at the document and.
I had looked at it, I didn't see anything. So
Yes, I didn't see anything.
it's,
I was trying to think of anything else we might have written off, but
So.
I believe the only one that I didn't fill in with possible answer is the very last question.
Too soon.
Yeah. Nothing to add there from council?
I know.
Okay. No questions or comments? All right, all those in favor? That's carried. The council hereby authorizes administration to commence the title acquisition process for those properties with tax liens registered May 16, 2024 that continue to have outstanding property tax arrears.
Okay, I'll let Maria speak.
Sure, and this is just another procedure, just general housekeeping. This is before council each year, just a matter of taking tax enforcement properties that are in.
Do we have any questions or comments? Jeff?
Maybe we could just go over the tax steps again, how it works.
Sure, so when they get to this point, they have been in arrears of their taxes. There is a whole, I have everything in my office. But there's a whole set of procedures that have to go. So we are looking at people that have not been paying their taxes. They are in arrears. There's been other motions that have been brought to council in regards to enforcement steps that we can take to either send out notices to them, legal action. There's advertising as far as making the public aware that the taxes are in arrears.
I can speak to it a little more as well. The liens were tax liens were registered on these properties in May. And so then legislation requires us 6 months later to start the tax or title acquisition process. And the 6-month notice is the next step. Then they would have another 6 months, and then we would send notice to the Provincial Mediation Board. We would send an application. And then the mediation board kind of acts as for lack of a better term, our collection agency, and they have to issue consent before we're allowed to acquire the title, and they work with the property owner their goal is compliance and to have them pay their taxes on time. But this, we would normally send them out right away, but with the postal strike, we will have to hold off because we're required, legislation only allows us to send it out by registered mail. So we will have to wait until postal strike is over before we can send out the notices.
Thank you. I still have to read all of that step by step.
I've been doing it for 20 years.
Yeah.
But it's an important part of our tax enforcement, the steps that are needed. You know.
Do we have any questions, Kylie?
Is this a pretty normal amount of properties that are in arrears? This is normal? Okay. Yeah. I didn't know if that's a high number or if that's average. Yeah.
Yeah, there's quite a few.
So for 2022, I can tell you what we sent. 2022, we had 40 outstanding.
Do we have any other questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor? The council hereby approves stopping and reissuing payments that are held up with the postal strike, and that administration be authorized to arrange alternate forms of payment for companies that are out of town, either by electronic funds transfer, wire transfer, or sending checks by courier. Stewart?
And then Maria can explain.
So unfortunately, just before the postal strike was announced, we had sent out a batch of checks that included probably, I think about maybe 90 or 95 checks. The majority of them, I think 76, are still en route. Unfortunately, we have a lot of accounts then that are overdue, and rather than incur interest charges, because it is still business as normal, we're just looking for some alternatives to ensure that we have our accounts up to date and that we stay in good standing with our vendors. So the option is to put a stop payment on those checks and reissue them. In speaking with Diamond North, they graciously offered to stop those payments without any charges to us. So that's a really big deal in my eyes. I think that was really great. So it's just a matter of going through the process then of stopping those checks and then reissuing them however we can. We're gathering information from vendors as for sending up EFTs, wire transfers, like we said, trying to courier them out. Local people, we can just call them and let them know that there's checks here, or we can deliver them by hand, whatever we can do. And as far as our software program, we're just in talks with Microsoft right now to try and get the EFT module set up so that we can move forward in that area and handle some of those, or maybe even a whole lot of those payments going forward by EFT rather than depending on post.
Thank you. Les?
I heard the word courier. Should I excuse myself?
That's a good question. When it comes time to courier them out, how that decision is made on your guys' side.
Locally,
Yeah.
you should go.
Yeah. Thank you, Les.
Yeah, no problem.
Let's fill in this first declaration.
You want to just close it, please? Sometimes you can read through something and you just don't catch it.
Yeah, well, if you didn't know it, yeah.
So, in continuing the discussion, are there some questions, Joyce?
Well, I'm just wondering, there was one here, Pinter and Associates LTD for 61,000. Is that legal or what is that for?
Pinter Associates would be for the landfill decommissioning.
Oh, okay.
And then you'll see another one in there for 976,000. Yeah, that's also for the landfill.
Yeah.
And so those two I would like to set up as wire transfers because the grant that we've applied for is conditional on those contracts being paid in full. So those ones for sure I want to get wire transfers and get their money as soon as possible. And hopefully if this goes through tonight, then I'll be working with the bank tomorrow and throughout the week to get those in place. And
Great. Do you have any other questions, comments? Okay. All those in favor? Welcome back.
Yeah, sorry, that snuck up on me.
No, that's all right. The council hereby approves allocating $15,000 from the current capital budget, account number 451620820, for purchasing of 50 to 60 mesh banners at $205.95 per banner, plus setup and freight, as these banners are to enhance Nipawin's streetscape and commemorate the 100-year anniversary. Rick.
And that would be Derek can speak to this.
Thank you. This is just kind of a formality with the, it's already approved in budget to buy $15,000 worth of banners. Worked out great that Scott and Spectrum had the best prices in probably anywhere. So, the mesh banners, even though they cost a bit more, after discussion with Chelsea and other municipalities, they will hold up the best in the wind because they have holes in them and they print double-sided and just better. We've had some bad luck with vinyl ones with the Wounded Warriors years ago. We'd be just worried about the amount of time they spend out in the storms they go through. costly one.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions or comments? I'm just looking forward to seeing stuff for the 100 start popping up, so the sooner the better. Okay, all those in favor? That's carried. That council hereby approves the allocation of $15,000 in sponsorship to the Nipawin Oasis for 2024, recognizing their invaluable contributions to the community and reaffirming the town's support for their efforts. Councillor Fast.
And again, that would be Turek.
So this came out of their, after reading their letter for request. The reason I didn't go with the full 20 is because we did have in budget $15,000 in contingency. Actually, we had about 18,000 in contingency, but we've used some for other requests. So this does fit within our sponsorship budget within the accounts, and I just think that from past history and the fact that we never worked together for 5 years and what they're doing, I think it's a very good idea to support them.
Thank you, Derek. Do we have questions? I'll start with Joyce.
Well, I just wanted to comment on the past history a little bit. That $5,000 from 2018 was a capital item, but that was $5,000 cash all at one shot. So how they expense it out on their financial statements is up to them. So it wasn't 250 a year, it was 5,000. And then they were asked to provide information and they refused to for the next year, so that's why it stopped. So it wasn't a thing that just happened. That's the history.
Joyce, Jeff, you had a question?
I was gonna speak a little bit to that history as well, but you got it. The other one is, that'll be for the 2024 budget year, right? So we'll be bringing something forward for the 2025 budget year as well, right? I think that's important to mention when we hand them a check, right? For the 2024 year.
Yeah, let's try and break up my questions a little bit. Because this is for a 7-month period. It's from November to December. So I would prefer that we give 5,000 now and then do a 10,000 in the new year as per budget, opposed to splitting, doing it all at once. Just an idea. Because it is running over 2 years.
Yeah, and what I was thinking was exact opposite, was the 15,000 for this year to be able to do that. And then next year, looking at another budgeted item through our sponsorship program of an additional amount of funds. It's 70 people, 70 different people. That really speaks to it. There has been some conversations in and around the council table in this regard. All on cameras, again, mentioned. So, but yeah.
Okay, that's why I was wondering why it didn't go to governance first and then coming to us. Because we just took George Cuff's education. He said, if this is the first time you're seeing it, should you be voting on it?
And we have seen this as a prior council. We've been having these discussions.
So that's 3 of you.
Yeah. That was why it came directly to council. Part of the reason why, but this is also the last meeting as well now too. Here.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not a good thing to do. I'm just wondering about the process of it because it is a 7-month program. Should we be paying 7 months? So, and I do look at the 145. And I wonder about paying administration costs because a lot of their articles say that none of the funds that they receive goes to salaries or administration. I have no problems with nutrition, rent. If we could stipulate the amount that goes to those, Because the rent isn't, at first, when I first saw it, they're paying themselves rent, but no, this is for covering utilities, extra water and stuff. So it made sense.
You could also consider reaching their $20,000 dock and doing $10,000 this year and then putting it on the books for $10,000 for the next budget year. Then kind of
Yeah,
hitting
that
20,000
evens it out.
kind of that $20,000 mark. Might be another way to look at it. It's easy to hand, feels great to hand out money, but when we get to that budget, it's gonna matter, right? 10 grand matters, 50,000 for a 1%. It's really what it comes down to. So, yeah.
Less.
So have they answered why it was stopped? Like, so the payments were stopped in 2000.
18 because they didn't go further with the requirements.
So have they gone further with those requirements now?
Yeah.
We haven't put any obligations. That was a fee for service. So that was a different program, and I'm assuming that that doesn't exist anymore.
It still exists. We
Oh.
don't fund it.
You
It
don't
hasn't
fund
been
it.
funded in the
Yeah,
budget.
the sponsorship program.
Oh, okay.
Are there other questions and comments? I would just say something about splitting up the payments. So if we take the $20,000 and split it up between what I would call this fall now to reaching into the spring, as long as when we add it to the budget, we don't forget that next winter's got to be on the budget too, so we don't short them. Because if we give them 10 and 10 now, that only runs the program until the spring this year. That doesn't help them with next fall as well.
True. So that would be a thing to put on the budget line.
Yeah.
And I understand the 15,000 now wouldn't actually increase taxes because it's already been paid.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's something to consider. If you're doing 15,000, that's about $11 a household. Or tax increase, if you just do a quick 3%.
Because the other conversation happened in camera, we can't really ask the question about what we were talking about before for our different options, right? Perhaps we should add something in camera to this design so we can have a full conversation. Because the other thing that was brought up to us was in camera.
We could.
That was the other solutions that were brought forward.
You want to table it till after in camera?
Yeah, we could do that. You're the one to make the
No, I didn't.
No.
He has to.
Just a thought, that way we could have that full conversation in camera. Including the things we talked about before.
Right.
So I can't say that.
Is anybody opposed to that? You made the motion. Are you okay with us tabling it to the end of the meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. So for now, we will finish this discussion. We'll come back to it after. Okay. Moving on. Whereas development was completed on each of the two lots under ownership of one party, and the business wholly occupies the two lots, therefore be it resolved that council approves the consolidation request of Lot 3, Block 7, Plan 70PA04754, and Lot 14, Block 7, Plan 101851477.
And that would be Jeff.
Thank you. It was identified that these two properties were not consolidated, and we sent notice out to the owners to let them know that. And so they had requested that they be consolidated. I looked at the request, and they did develop on both properties, so it does meet the requirements of the lot consolidation policy. So I'm recommending.
Thank you, Jeff. Do we have any questions or comments? Joyce?
So this is just saving the base tax when they consolidate, right?
Yes, it would be the base tax, Yeah, just space tax.
And the fact that it's agricultural, doesn't matter?
Any other questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor? Carried. That council hereby approves without prejudice that B&B Enforcement Services complete plan examinations and building inspections for the Nipawin Museum. Councilor Stewart.
And that would be Jeff again.
Thanks. So in the previous, I guess it'd be this spring, summer, council approved B&B enforcement to operate for 1 year as a trial run on residential properties. So that's class 1 building official services. In speaking with the museum, they're interested in creating a Main Street type development at museum grounds. And so that naturally, because it's just the type of development it is, it's class 2. And so I spoke to Community Code and I spoke to B&B. B&B does have their class 2, so they are able to do such a project. I feel it would be a lot easier for the museum to go through B&B Enforcement Services. They can take the local building conditions into consideration and are willing to do that, more so than our other building official. So I think, and the other bonus is B&B Enforcement Services would donate their work to that project as like a community donation. So I'm recommending that we use B&B Enforcement.
Yeah. Do we have any questions or comments? I'll just ask one question about when we originally had B&B, when we brought them on board. It was going to be on a trial basis. How has the past year gone?
So far, it's been going good. No issues really. I mean, just a little bit with communication. Just there is more communication, just because B&B Enforcement Services is a one-man show. Where the company has additional staff, so there's a little bit longer communication. But when you are able to communicate, you're communicating with the person, so it's a bit more direct in that route too, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
I've only heard positive things from the people working with them. So.
I know that was something that was discussed at length earlier this year, so to follow up like that is good. So any other questions or comments?
When is the 1 year trial with him done then?
I have to check again, but I believe we settled on September or October.
So is that something that'll be up for discussion again then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor? Carried. That council hereby agrees to approve an amount of $27,107.39 to cover 50% of the final invoiced costs for the heliport project, with funds to come from the stabilization reserve, and that when sufficient funds have been raised by the Twin Lakes District Planning Commission to fully fund the project, the repayment to the town be transferred back to the stabilization reserve. Mr. Stewart.
Okay, so when we started the heliport project, in order to have approval from the SAJ, we were required to get all of the funds raised prior to starting work on the project. We had to prove that we had the funds. And being as the Twin Lakes Planning Commission wanted to have the project completed this year, each member agreed to cover the budgeted costs, the forecasted costs on a per capita basis. And the town had agreed at that time in November of last year to approve up to $145,000. So now the with the $54,000 shortage, administration from well, myself and the two RMs of Torch River and Nipwood, we agreed to propose that just our three municipalities cover the shortage and rather than collecting a little bit from the smaller communities because their per capita would be so much less. That we just cover it and then we would be reimbursed when Twin Lakes has the money. However, having said that, there is a GST return that we will be getting that will very close to completely cover it. So a couple more donations and the GST rebate, and we should have our money back and the project paid for.
Victory here.
Okay, now you can. Thank you, Michelle. Do we have any questions or comments on this? It's been a long time project. Glad to see it getting almost to the end. Just gotta wait for the ceremony now. Yep. Okay, all those in favor? That's carried. The council hereby authorizes administration to apply to the Canada Housing Infrastructure Fund for a Coventry Crescent multi-unit subdivision and any other identified project that may fit into the grant's qualifications.
And that would be Jeff again.
Thanks. This request is to apply to the Canada Housing Infrastructure Fund. It's a grant that is quite large, put out by the federal government. There's two streams. There's a direct delivery stream and a provincial stream. What we want to apply for is the direct delivery stream. And so that goes straight to the feds. That you get up to 50% funding on eligible costs. And so since this is a project we're looking at that supports housing and there's water and sewer infrastructure and storm sewer, I think it's a really good fit to apply for this project. You aren't limited on the number of applications you can do. So if we identify any other projects that support housing in any way and we think we could build a case to apply, may as well also apply for those, because if we're able to get it, you're allowed to be awarded multiple times as well, so it doesn't hurt.
Yeah. Do we have any questions or comments? Joyce?
The Coventry subdivision, is that the new grouping that you're talking about? So it's the same name. And so because it's multi-units, two might fit into the grant more,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yeah, the grant is geared towards, they are promoting multi-unit housing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joyce. Do we have any other questions? Jeff?
Where else do you think we could put these? I know, but
12
yeah.
Avenue was another one I was thinking of.
Budget season will be interesting.
You're gonna put those in?
I was even considering the sewer trunk line upgrade. I mean, it doesn't hurt to apply.
Yeah.
We can do that.
It could service housing down the road too,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
It's a major expansion. So
Yeah, so that,
there are some houses on that side.
Prioritizing you want at
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get the first one first.
Yeah, get the one you want first and. Yeah.
Do we have any other?
Do we have a choice where it goes? Like, do we have a choice where it goes, or is that where they want it?
No, it can be, we can apply with any project we want, that if we can make the argument that it supports housing in the near future. We can apply with any project that would support that.
But you already have some interest in that area, right?
Thank you, Les.
Oh, sorry, I
Go
guess I can add, so the project has to be over $1 million, and they will consider projects up to $100 million. So it can be even quite large projects. Yeah, council has any ideas on something?
I need a new toilet.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd be happy with a furnace motor.
I need a new washing machine.
Just teasing.
We have to recall that this is $57.
Yeah.
That's true.
Okay, do we have any other questions or comments? I think it's good that we hopefully get some more $50 dollars, so. All right, all those in favor?
It's carrying like $27.
That the reports of standing and special committees recorded as items 10.1 to 10.1.1 be received and filed. Everybody's had a chance to read through those reports. Do you have anything to add to those?
No,
We-
not yet.
Do we have any questions or comments on those reports?
We have resolutions coming up after.
Okay, all those in favor? That's carried. That council hereby agrees to repeal bylaw number 1141/22, and that council approves transferring the balance of the capital trust account ending in 77593 at Diamond North Credit Union to the maximizer account ending in 87350, and that council approves a transfer of $75,000 to the capital trust reserve, GL account 310100407, as recommended by the Governance Standing Committee at the meeting held December 4th, 2024. Watts.
Unless Councillor Stewart, as the chair, would like to speak to it, then Maria.
We spoke a lot. The capital trust account has its own account, and we're trying to balance all the reserves into one single account. So it's kind of makes having that in the separate account redundant. So that's what we get rid of that. The 75,000, I thought that was a budgeted item we were supposed to be putting in for the last few years.
According to the bylaw.
My question would be, where's that coming from? Wasn't budgeted.
And that would just be coming out of surplus,
Supposed to be.
assuming that 2024 has surplus to allocate.
Thank you, guys. Were there any questions or comments?
So if it doesn't have surplus, then we're coming from.
We have just general revenue that would more than cover that.
Surplus of 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
But we're going to be repealing that bylaw when we do this. right?
Further down in the meeting, as long as council approves
Yeah.
that, yes.
So. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. All those in favor? That's carried. The communications recorded as items 12.1 to 12.2 be received and filed. Okay. Has everybody had an opportunity to read through our communications? Too much there right now. Any questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, bear with me for these next couple. They're long. That pursuant to subsection 221 of the Municipalities Act, the town of Nipawin appoints Western Municipal Consulting Limited to manage the Board of Revision process for the term of January 1, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. Remuneration as set out in the Western Municipal Consulting Limited fee schedule, with the following to serve as members of the Board of Revision: Dave Guernsey, Dave Thompson, Donna Ray Zadvorny, Gordon Parkinson, Jeff Hutton, Kevin Kleckner, Mike Wozchuk, Stu Demmons, Tim Lafreniere, Wayne Adams, Ken Friesen. Is it Feeny Ogunreed? Fife Ogund, Maureen Jickling, Jamie Thiessen, John Krill, Christopher Blumen, Alan Sawatsky, Mike Malika, Haney Ammon, Kimberly Spears, Nick Koroluk, Farah Ovens, JD Mazier, Jordan Boys, Kenneth Tan, Tyler Shandro, and Rick Lay. The chair shall be responsible for naming no fewer than 3 members for the hearing of any matter. Where the chair does not include themselves among the appointees, the members appointed for a hearing shall determine the chair of that hearing from among their numbers, and that pursuant to subsection 221(1) of the Municipalities Act, the town of Nipawin appoints Kara Lindell with Western Municipal Consulting Limited as secretary to the Board of Revision for the term of January 1, 2025 through December 31st, 2025, remuneration as set out in Western Municipal Consulting Limited fee schedule. If the secretary is unable to perform secretarial functions for reasons which may include scheduling difficulties, WMC may appoint a delegate to perform administrative functions and may appoint a recording secretary for the purposes of any hearing. Councillor Blair.
Just end your suffering.
Yeah. So do we have anything to add there?
Well, as a member of the Twin Lakes District Planning Commission, we are members of a district board of revision. And the Board of Revision hears assessment appeals. And the Planning Commission engaged Western Municipal Consulting to be our Board of Revision. It was getting increasingly difficult to find people to volunteer. It's a very detailed job and there's training requirements now, and volunteers just, it was too difficult. So we engaged Western Municipal Consulting. And this is just the resolution that each town has to appoint the board and the secretary every year.
Any questions or comments? Thank you, Michelle. Okay, cool. Jeff?
These board members are from everywhere, aren't they?
They are.
All over the country.
They're-
Recognize a waiver person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Carried. Oh, and I gotta read all their names one more time. Oh, jeez.
Proper pronunciation.
Resolution.
Okay, that pursuant to subsection 214(1) of the Planning and Development Act 2007, the town of Nipawin appoints Western Municipal Consulting Limited to manage the Development Appeals Board process for the term of January 1, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. Remuneration as set out in Western Municipal Consulting Limited fee schedule with the following to serve as members of the Development Appeals Board. Okay, here we go again. Dave Guernsey, Dave Thompson, Donna Ray Zabordny, Gordon Parkinson, Jeff Hutton, Kevin Kleckner, Mike Wozchuk, Stu Demons, Tim Lafreniere, Wayne Adams, Ken Friesen, Amy Ogunreed, Fife Ogundy, Maureen Jickling, Jamie Thiessen, Stu Hayward, Pam Malak, Barry Clark, John Krill, Christopher Blumen, Alan Sawatsky, Mike Malika, Haney Ammon, Kimberly Spears, Nick Koroluk, Farah Ovens, JD Mazier, Jordan Boys, Kenneth Tan, Tyler Shandro, and Rick Lay. The chair shall be responsible for naming no fewer than 3 members for the hearing of any matter. Where the chair does not include themselves among the appointees, the members appointed for a hearing shall determine the chair of that hearing among their numbers. And that pursuant to subsection 216(3)(a) of the Planning and Development Act 2007, the town of Nipawin appoints Claudette McGuire with Western Municipal Consulting Limited as secretary to the Development Appeals Board for the term of January 1, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. Remuneration as set out in Western Municipal Consulting Limited fee schedule. If the secretary is unable to perform secretarial functions for reasons which may include scheduling difficulties, WMC may appoint a delegate to perform administrative functions and may appoint a recording secretary for the purposes of any hearing. There was. And I'll apologize now for all the names I pronounced wrong.
Who might argue?
As long as you get mine right, yeah.
So I think this is just following the same line.
This is the same procedure as the one prior. However, the Development Appeals Board is if somebody appeals a development permit that has been denied or for whatever reason, they can appeal that.
Do we have any questions or comments here? All those in favor? That's carried. Believe it or not, those are not the longest motions we've ever had. Let's go down to the bylaws. We don't have anything for the Summa caucus.
If I could speak to that.
Yes.
Just please. The Summa caucus nominations, that would be for, there's city caucus and a town caucus, and any member of council can run for this. They can submit their names. Council does not have to approve it. All you have to have is 2 other members of council sign your nomination form. So if you would like to submit a nomination form and sit on the town caucus, you just have to have 2 other signatures and submit it. You can submit it to Summa.
And this isn't necessarily a requirement of the council.
No, it is not.
It's just an option for more work on your plate.
Well, I was kind of thinking of it, but I want to look at it further.
And the expenses that you incur being on this are covered by that, not us.
I believe they are covered by them or,
I think they are.
And
Yeah.
what is the deadline is middle of January,
yes.
so.
That's a 4-year term as well.
Yeah. Sorry? Okay. End of January. Okay. Thank you for speaking to that, Michelle. Okay, moving on. That bylaw number 1189/24, being a bylaw to repeal bylaws, be introduced and read a first time. Councilor Rick. And we don't have to read anything on this, right?
No, I'll
No.
just speak to it really quick.
Okay.
Okay, so this bylaw comes out of the governance committee to repeal the capital trust fund bylaw. And when we were at it, we went through and there's a couple of tax exemption agreements that they've expired, they're outdated, so they need to be repealed to get them off the books. So we thought this was a good time to include those as well. And then bylaw 1161/23 is a repeal bylaw. You're only allowed to have 1 repeal bylaw on the books at any time. So every time we repeal bylaws, we have to repeal the previous one. Those other bylaws are just housekeeping items.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor? Carried. That bylaw number 1189/24 be read a second time. Newdorf. Oh. Everybody's had a chance. Any questions or comments a second time? All those in favor? That bylaw number 1189/24 be given 3 readings at this meeting.
Speak to that. So a bylaw can be passed in a couple of different ways. You can either introduce it at one meeting and then go home and reflect on it, to ask more questions, and then come back and do the second and third readings at the next meeting. Or, as we tend to do with these smaller bylaws, pass them all three readings in the same meeting. So if council wants to do all three readings in the same meeting, you have to unanimously agree. So if one councillor doesn't agree to do all three readings, then it's stopped until the next meeting.
Any questions or comments? I think like Michelle said, this is just a housekeeping one that we're working on right now. So, okay. All those in favor? Okay, so that is all finished. So now we are moving on to the round table. I don't think we've got anything else. So this portion of the meeting is where we'll have a quick discussion about the meetings we've attended since our previous council meeting. So we'll just start off, and today I'll start with Stacy.
Well, there was no park board meeting because last time at the inaugural, I was at the park board meeting. It's coming up again. So I really have nothing to add.
Yeah, I haven't, got nothing to add.
Haven't attended very many yet.
No.
No, I just went to the George Cup with everybody else there a few weeks ago, and then governance meeting last week, and then this one.
Same, and I have a Wapiti meeting this week.
Well, I attended our last meeting and then I did attend the 2 days with George Cup and Lee and Min. Plus I went to the Twin Lakes meeting. Then what else did it? Oh, I finished something for or my municipal.
The MLDP. Is that the training?
Yeah, but I had to do the roles and responsibilities. So I did that this week, I guess, just the other day. It's been a busy week, other than just council. I spent entertaining a Rotary International person that came from around New Orleans to do an audit on a Rotary grant that we've been doing. And that was a $70,000 grant that provided reading or learning materials for literacy for grades 1 to 4 for Cumberland House and James Smith. So we went out to Cumberland House and talked with the teachers, and they're quite excited. They're using it for grades 1 to 6, actually, as needed. And then James Smith, we drove out there, and they're using it for grades 1 to 8. So it's very successful so far. The data is showing that it is improving, and the teachers do like the material. We did buy the material from Australia, and that was about $52,000 just for that. So I think we passed our audit, and he really liked Nipawin. He enjoyed it, even with the first time with the cold.
Yeah.
And we took him out to Southside, because that's where the walleye fish is served for fish and chips. Went to the Dam Smokehouse and to the spot.
Well, thank you, Joyce. And Jeff.
Wow, how do I follow up with that? Great work, though. All that money for them, that's amazing. Everybody said everything else. Twin Lakes, yes, I was there. We had governance workshops. We had strategic meetings. We had a lot of meetings, right?
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, so myself, obviously I did attend the George Cuff seminar where we did our governance training. My key takeaway from that training, you've probably seen a little bit as we kind of go through it tonight. Just running the council meeting and our line of communication has changed slightly. So On the 26th, we had our elected officials orientation as well. My 3 takeaways there, really looking forward to the Evergreen grant and the potential upgrades. The boundary expansion this year, I think, is going to be a good opportunity for us. And I'm a big fan of the South Corridor expansion that we should hopefully be able to finish this year. On November 29th, I attended the museum Christmas supper and had a lot of fun there. It's always great to take a little extra time to go through our museum. If for some reason you haven't been there yet, I highly recommend taking some time to go through it. On December 4th, we had the governance meeting where we talked about our proposed SUMA resolution, which we won't be taking this year. Talked about the potential for a new economic development committee. And we did some policy and bylaw discussion. On December 5th was the Christmas tree lighting. Thank you to Chelsea and her team there. Sounds like they had a little bit of a last minute struggle finding the right tree. So,
Yeah.
But it,
Small, but it's beautiful.
it went very well. It was a lot of fun. There may even be photos of Santa asking for some of his own gifts from the mayor. So, and December 6th, we had our strategic planning committee meeting. So it's been a busy week. So, all right. So next we would normally have a public forum where if there were members attending to watch the meeting, they could speak. And as you can see, it's a pretty quiet night. So I'm sure it'll happen eventually.
When we do something wrong.
Yeah.
Let's have a show.
Yeah. Okay, that the regular council meeting of December 9th, 2024 be closed with Mayor Zacharias in the chair pursuant to section 122A of the Municipalities Act and citing exemptions contained in the Local Authority Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act under section 16, advice from officials, and section 17, economic and other interests at 8